Hi, I'm Mario Guerra, the two-time former mayor of the great city of Downey. And I'm here with my co-host, the editor of the Downey Patriot, Eric Pierce. And you're watching Talking Downey with Mario
and Eric. How you doing, Mario?
Hey, how are you? Happy after Thanksgiving.
Yes, I know. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was great. It was great. Yeah, I had everybody over. I think we ate our last leftover a couple of days ago. So
it's all gone.
I'm turkeyed out for a while.
Yeah,
but it's all good.
As you should be.
Yeah.
As you should be.
Hey, by the way, here's a new tip. On there, getting bread is a big deal for Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. So this time here, I always get it from Porto's, or I go to different markets here. So at the last minute, I went to Vallarta on Imperial Highway. Mm-hmm. And surprisingly, I was able to get in really good. They were bringing out the bolillos right there. And they were able to bag them all nice and warm. And they were the most amazing bolillos.
When they're nice and fresh, you can't beat it.
Yeah. I literally ate 2 on the way home, just the bread alone. And goes, hey, we're happy. Anyway, so just a little tip for Downey. Vallarta has great ones on there. We've talked about markets in the past, so we do have some good markets here.
We do.
Regardless whether we get Sprouts or not.
Exactly. And you know what? We take it for granted.
We do.
There's other communities that don't have access like we do to grocery stores. Right. And we're really fortunate that we do.
Right. So
on Thanksgiving, I had to go to the store, and I was thinking, well, am I going to go to Stater Brothers? Am I going to go to Albertsons? Am I going to go to the Rouse and Firestone, the Rouse and Gallatin? If I have to, I'll go to Aldi's. Like, there's options.
There's options. And again, my son Ryan's the one that mentioned Vallarta. He goes to Vallarta all the time, which I didn't even know. So it's interesting. God, we're off topic here. But anyways, so the Rite Aid closed down on Firestone, right? So that's where Ann would get some of her medicines were there. So what they did is they transferred the prescriptions to Albertsons, right? So Ann's always been a Stater Brothers person. That's her thing. She knows everybody and comfortable and blah, blah, in our neighborhood market. So now she has to walk through Albertsons to get to the back of the prescription under the pharmacy. And she's like, wow, this is actually pretty nice. So.
Well, the good thing about Albertsons, I like Albertsons, it's so big and spacious.
Yeah.
And it's roomy. Yeah. You don't feel, I feel like the Stater Brothers is a little small.
Yeah.
It's a little crowded.
Yeah.
And so that's the bad part.
Eric, I'm telling you, the Vallarta, I walked around myself. It's almost 4 different markets. You got that fresh bakery part. Yeah. Then you have the deli part, which is beyond big. And they were serving hot tamales, and then they're making tortillas in another part. I was amazed how big that whole area. Then they got a nice carniceria, but on the other side, their fruits and vegetables, it's really well stocked and packed. So I left there feeling good about that. So good for Downey. So I'm giving a plug to Vallarta. Amazing bolillos is the one thing I can verify.
The only thing I don't like about that store is the parking lot.
Yeah, getting
out.
Yeah.
Getting out.
Yeah.
Because it's just kind of a hassle. There's so much traffic on Imperial. Yeah. It's not easy to kind of get out, and then if we have to head, I guess, north.
It's interesting. I was on the council. We had that divider thing, the city staff wanted to put a median there, and I really fought for that, to have that as an opening area so you can come out and kind of land in the middle there. So there is no median, because if not, you're really in trouble.
Yeah.
Have
you heard anything about, and maybe you can't talk about it, but you know everything, about the crown
cleaners?
Crown cleaners.
I've heard some things.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah.
Anything?
What have you heard?
I haven't heard anything.
Oh, okay. I've heard some things on there, but it's the business deal part, so I don't want to tell on the business people. It's got nothing to do with the city from my perspective on there.
Okay.
So,
but there's some activity.
There's some activity there.
Good.
Yeah, and they were, they're nice people. And
it was a nice family.
Yeah. But it's owned by the beaches that own the Vallarta and so forth. So there's a couple of things that have been proposed there. Good. And, we wanted the Starbucks there. And the Starbucks is, what's the old Yogi Berra thing? Nobody goes there anymore because it's always too crowded.
Yeah.
It's packed. And surprisingly, I've been there for breakfast at the Starbucks. They got some good breakfast items. So,
they do. It's
who knew?
So,
anyway.
We're talking city council today.
Yes. Today we're talking about the Downey City Council meeting that just happened. and you have the agenda there.
I do, and I watched it this time. I was responsible and I watched it. There were quite a few things. There's actually, the main story was Stay Gallery, but we're going to do a separate episode on that because there's so much to talk about. So we want to talk about a little bit more in depth about it. Right. But besides that, there were still quite a few things. Do you want to start it off with a couple of the awards that were penned?
Yeah, the things that always grab you in the presentation area, one that was just, that it should have been, and it was, our recognition for retirement for our police chief, Leslie Murray. Mm-hmm. She's been with the city for 33 years, a revolutionary, our first female chief, which at some point in life, we're all going to stop the first of that kind of stuff on there. But somebody had to be the first. Yeah. There had to be a Jackie Robinson. There had to be a female. There's going to have to be a female president someday, So anyway, she was the first chief, did it with honesty, integrity, and passion, served our community well. So she was recognized last night. Her family was there. And that's a good moment for the city. I know her retirement. They're having a retirement thing for her. I'm attending in a couple of weeks. And so, God bless.
It's the end of an era.
Yeah.
And now the next step is finding the next chief. Yeah. And I don't know where the city is in the process of that, but it would have to be pretty soon, I would imagine.
Yeah, so I did a ride-along last week, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of new faces, a lot of new ones on there. So, which, by the way, that brings me up, talking about the police department, I got to bring up something that during the public comment section. So we're not, the last episode was about the candidates, right? And there's two things that happened in the last week about people that didn't win the elections, okay? So one of the candidates came last night and doing public comment, kind of blasted the council, said, you guys need to stop talking about dog parks and, community gardens. What a waste of time. What you need is more police officers and so forth. You don't pay them enough to come, and, you got $33 million in reserves, take 10%, $3 million, and hire new police officers and blah, 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 which kind of shows the naivete, if you will, because, first of all, you don't take, out of reserves for ongoing expenses. If you took $3 million out of that, you need to have it forever. So in 10 years, you're out of reserves if you go under that premise. Number two, it's not we don't like it because we don't pay them well. We don't like it because we don't have the funds. We have the funds allocated for more police officers. They're there. We're searching. I mean, we just gave a $25,000 bonus for laterals on there that actually saves us money. So we pay well, okay? Based on the scale on there, could we always do better? Yes. But one of the main reasons we don't automatically just have 10 officers is because we're very picky in who we pick. And the process, the background checks is 6 months long, and et cetera, et cetera. So we don't take ones that other departments don't want. And we do it. So I cringed and I laughed. I go, man, he's still running for next year, because he brings that up yesterday. Here we are, not even in December. And
it's true. You're right. And, you see some of the movement, some of the activity of candidates from this past election already setting themselves up for next year to run. You see right through.
One of the candidates put a picture of themselves over the Grand Canyon with this from the back, okay, I got the whole world. But then another candidate. So you and I are both belong to gangs out of Downey, right? So there's, I think, 49 people or 50 people on the email list. So Tony Christina, I don't know, is it wrong?
Cristiani.
Cristiani. Oh, my God.
From Financial Partners.
I know, and I know him really well. Tony, if you're
super
listening
nice
to this. Oh, of course, great guy. So, Tony, if you're watching this, my bad, okay, on your last name. But, yeah.
Our sponsor, Financial Partners.
Our partners, I've known him for a long time. He's done a good job as president. So, he sent an email out about adopting families for TLC and so forth. So, like a lot of us that have done that, I replied to him personally. You replied, Tony, Ann and I are happy to. We will gladly do that and so forth. And I know you did and other people. We're all doing that. But you reply once to him, you don't have to tell. Can you imagine if all 49 of us replied on there? We got 49 emails saying, and why do we care? We care, but we don't.
All right.
So this one former candidate replies to all. Oh, Tony, put me down for 3 families, the same as I did last year. You know, and you look at this, and you and I texted each other like, really? You're really, you know, I mean, we all know better. We have better etiquette, if you will. So I'm not going to say his name, but yeah, that's just goofy. That's just goofy out there. So.
I did notice that Elvira Mraz was appointed to the Public Works Committee by Councilman Hector Sosa. That was interesting.
Right. She can thank me for that, or other ones can't. Literally, and I'm not being facetious. So when I was when we were putting together, getting rid of 3 or 4 different committees, if you will, and that's how it came about to the Public Works Committee. But one of the things, and I'm from District 2. One of the things I didn't like was that I, didn't want to just have to take from District 2 people to have as my representative. If you were my representative, you happen to be in District 4, and I thought you were good, I should be able to appoint you because what's best for the city instead of just with the district. So the only one bylaw that we have to have is the Planning Commission. That has to be in your district, right? So when we set up that committee, I made a big push, and the council agreed with me on there that it could be from any other one. Some of the other ones on there could be from any district. So here's the first one: Hector, District 2, appointing Elvira, District 1. So
now I do, playing devil's advocate, I do see value in having a committee member from your district, right? Because you wouldn't want to stack it from any particular district.
Of course, you do on there. But I just wanted to have the choice. Who's the best candidate for the city on there? So, but no, absolutely, yeah, you do. You want a representation from everybody, and that's one of the reasons the Planning Commission has to be from your district, because that's such an important committee that really does a lot of things. Yeah. So
another person who got an award, Dan Fox.
Oh yeah.
I think it was the Mayor's Legacy Award.
Yeah, I think I'm almost prejudiced and or disqualify myself. That I'm joking, of course. I'm not disqualified because he's my chiropractor. And he's right there on 3rd Street, 2nd Street, and been there in that same building with that same machine. And literally 2 months ago, when I just hurt my back, and you go in there and he puts you on that machine, and lowers you, and he tugs, pulls, pushes, whatever. And in 2 weeks, I'm back to normal. So God bless him. Yeah,
he's a great guy. I don't know if you know this, but he's a foodie.
Yeah,
he likes food. Yeah. He knows food. So when you talk to him, or if you're listening, if you run into Dan Fox, super nice guy. Ask him for his food and restaurant recommendations, and he'll give you some really good ones.
He's a good guy. Him and his wife have been very involved in charitable things. They raised a couple of good kids to do that. Very big Rotarians. They're always, with servant hands. They're always doing great things. And a lot of people don't know this. He's also a substitute teacher at Downey Unified for once a week.
He is.
And he always posts the day that it's chocolate milk day or something like that. So it always makes me hungry for chocolate milk day. I'm not even a chocolate milk guy. Yeah. So, but anyways, very well deserved on there for Dr. Dan Fox.
I'm just going through the agenda. What else happened? A big item that was discussed was the city's new community-based organization funding program. So basically what the city did earlier this year, they set aside $100,000 to give away to nonprofits serving Downey people. Right. So this is the first round of funding. There were 7 applicants. Let me get my notes to make sure I'm doing this right. 7 applicants. The city gave to 5 of them. Or maybe even 4. We'll talk about it. There's a little bit of confusion on it. But it was basically the Downey Symphony, $10,000. This is to fund their summer concert at Furman Park.
Which, by the way, you and I were talking before that, and I think you're on the board, so on there, which is great. We love having the Downey Symphony on there. But I guess they have to pay their musicians because the summer concerts, when you have a band, when you got, Mario's Rock and Roll Band on there, they don't pay that much money for it, right?
No. So, and the symphony is a little bit different because you have so many band members. Right. And they're all union contract musicians that got to be paid a standard rate. So it gets kind of expensive. Right. Yeah. Traditionally, the symphony just covered the costs. That was part of their budget. Right. But it's got it's gotten more expensive. And
like you mentioned, they did things for the school, and I love that.
They do. So and that's a huge thing that the symphony does. They put on free concerts for Downey third graders and fifth graders.
Okay, that's great.
And so I'll tell you what happened is until last year, the symphony had never asked the city for money. I shouldn't say never. In my recent memory, they hadn't asked the city council for any kind of money. But when the city council started giving out money, starting with the Downey Rose Float, like everybody else, it's like, well, they're giving out money. We should apply for it.
We're just as worthy as anybody else.
And they did, and they applied. And last year, I believe it was $17,000 that the city provided. This year, the symphony applied for $15,000. They got 10, and that's the thing. So every request that was made for funding through this program was actually decreased. It was decreased by the city council. So State Arts is getting $15,000. Desert Rain Church is getting $20,000 for their food pantry. The 1020 Club is getting $17,000 for their for workshops that they do for high school students. The Whole Child had a request, and this is just me. I wasn't too clear on whether that request was approved or not, because they also have a concurrent state grant that they're applying for, and if that grant is approved, it could lessen the amount that the hotel is asking for.
That's what Mr. Chacon, the director for the Parks and Recs that managing this, I think he said something like that. So,
okay.
But we did that show at Whole Child last month, and things that they do, they're amazing.
It's amazing.
And they have a $33 million budget, but they have to fundraise like $3 million. Mm-hmm. So and they do so much with our homeless kids or our at-risk homeless kids with TLC and stuff. So that's, I wish we can give them more, but you're right. You're right.
And you mentioned it. I think especially Councilman Sosa, he was very adamant that these organizations that are getting money have a fundraising component to them. So they're not just asking for handouts from the city; they're actively fundraising. That was really important to him.
We'll talk on the show about State Gallery coming up. So we're teasing you on the State Gallery show because that was an issue.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's funny. We talked about this. I'm not a fan of this program in general. Yeah. I feel like you're just giving money away. Yeah. I know, and so many worthy organizations like Kiwanis and Gangs of the Downey and Rotary who work so hard to fundraise, do golf tournaments, car shows, whatever they do. Dinners.
The Gangs of the Downey.
They work really hard to fundraise, and I feel that's the way it should be, right? That's the way it should be.
Yeah, and you can make a case. It's interesting because everyone that has a fireworks stand, are all nonprofits in the city. Every one of those can make an argument and can apply to this round. I bet you a lot of them didn't know.
100%.
Because if you're the Warren High School band that needs to fundraise, because they do, and so does the Downey High Band, and so does all these other groups that have the Little Leagues.
Right.
West Downey is trying to get back over there at Stauffer, the back at Stauffer, and the fields are, they're starting over. They haven't been there in 8 years. So all these places on there that need it. So I think maybe the second time, but you're right. It's kind of like, where do you draw? I knew once it started, we were always tempted my 8 years on the council because there's some people so we were always tempted. But what we ended up doing was, if you have a golf tournament for ARC, for Rotary or Kiwanis, we put it on there. We'd give you a foursome,
right,
which really didn't cost us any money. It cost the electricity and wear and tear on the golf course. But you were able to raffle off or give out a foursome to it. So we did something. But this is going a little bit too far. But once you did the first one,
because you're giving cash.
You're giving cash.
It's cash. It's not even just waiving fees.
Yeah.
It's giving cash.
Yeah. So the first time they did it, I talked to a couple of my former mayors, and we all kind of like, okay, and away we go.
Yeah.
So because once you open it, the Pandora's box is open.
Yeah.
And again, they're all have to be worthy. They didn't give to a couple. I forgot which one was. They didn't give to LA Cata for their homeless program. There was another one too that
Drumming for Life.
Yeah,
and they do like music programs.
Right. I don't think there wasn't enough people, or it didn't serve enough kids, or something.
Yeah, that
like
was
that.
how they justified it.
Yeah.
Because LA Cata, they do a lot of work for drug and alcohol abuse, and very worthy, of course.
Yeah, they sponsor all the pride events here in the city, and the parade and the whole thing and stuff like that. So anyway, that was kind of it. We had
one more. I want to talk about the downtown Downey parking structure.
Oh yes! Oh my God! You and I are both involved in the downtown. Yes, how can we not?
And it was so. Long story short, the council finally is moving forward on plans to make it nicer, to make it cleaner, prettier. This was funny, interesting piece of information. The garage has not been painted since 2005.
Yeah.
No paint since 2005. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. And the city had hired a consultant that brought the results to the downtown committee, to the Downtown Improvement Association, then to the downtown subcommittee for the council, and then ultimately to the council. Actually, they brought it to the planning commission, and then ultimately to the council to bless it. And what the experts said that, because we don't feel it's safe, it's clean, and so forth. Some of the suggestions were, number one, paint it. The brighter it is, fix the lighting, put some security cameras in. All those things will make it feel better.
Right.
And then they're going to power wash it more often. Sometimes there's a terrible smell in there. There's smell of urine from some of the local restaurants that the patrons go there later. That kind of stuff. So there was a whole bunch of suggestions, and it looks like they're doing it.
They're doing it. And the paint is painting the inside of the structure, but also the outside is going to get like a decorative.
Okay, paint. So that's one thing they talked about it, whether they do it or not.
Right.
I hope they do.
I hope so too.
I hope they do. It's kind of like on one of the four sides of there to make it a design, a pattern, something cool.
Right.
And I love stuff like that.
I do too.
Make it design something.
It'll make it look nicer.
It will, instead of just painting it with the structure on it. So I hope they do that.
And something else.
Let's. I don't know if they listen to it, but City Council, please do that. Okay, it doesn't cost anymore. Just do that, please.
I hope they listen to it.
I hope so too.
I don't know.
I hope so too. We're fair. We don't put them down, and we actually praise them more because we think that things are getting back to normal in a good way.
And also one more quick thing. They're talking about security. They're going to be hiring a new security company that will hopefully be more visible within the downtown in general, but also within the parking structure, so people feel safe.
Yeah.
So, but the city council, they're moving forward. They're making an effort, and so hopefully, I think if it feels like by next summer, we'll start seeing some activity.
Although the one thing at our last downtown meeting, when we talked to the city, so we're looking to do from the arts and public spaces, so it's not going to cost any more money. We're looking to do one of those signs over the city, over
an archway,
an archway on there, if you will, close to Firestone, but not too close. So that way, when you're driving by, you can see it, but it'll be Downey Avenue, like there's more there. And something about downtown Downey, and we're working at logos and stuff. And everybody says, "Oh my gosh, what a waste of money!" Well, not really. When you go to the gas lamp district in San Diego, you can even go to all these main streets and Encino and so forth. They have those, and it identifies so many of the cities.
Branding.
It's branding. I mean, you see people taking the selfies there and a whole bang. So the cost of that would come from public arts fund, which our developers pay 1% to go towards that. So you can have some of the statues, some of the things that we've gotten there, or you can have something like that. And there's plenty of money in that fund to do that. So we're hopefully. But the thing that got us when you and I asked, so they're, if it gets approved by the city council, the subcommittee, city council, well, we got to do an RFP for the design. Then we got to do an RFP for this, and we got to do for this and that. So maybe summer 2025. And we're like, we haven't even started 24 yet. What do you mean? Come on, let's hustle. We can get this done by summer 2024, you know?
But 2025 is not that far away.
No, but summer is 19 months away.
It is, but I get it because so first you need to design it, right?
Right.
You got to have it designed.
Okay, 2 months.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
I'm just throwing things out.
Okay,
right?
maybe.
Would that be enough? If I'm in art with 2 months to design it, I would think so.
Okay, and then you need to fabricate it.
Okay, so 2 months.
And then you need to hire somebody to install it.
2 months. So you do 2 months on there, that's 6 months.
But you should know how quickly government moves.
Okay, so the only reason that I'm a little bit, yes, and that's one of my frustrations too, how slow government moves. We called a company, the one that actually did the one in San Diego. And we said, if you blah, 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 and blah, 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 and stuff like that. And they said, oh, no, from beginning to end, we can do it in 6 months. So, you know, again, that's including, I mean, obviously they're dealing with cities too. So it's a big company, the national company that does it.
It does make more sense, though, to have one company do it from start to end.
Yes.
That would make sense.
Because now you're going to have, you know, one RFP. So remember, the one thing with cities, you're always giving your business to the lowest bidder. And sometimes it doesn't always work out the best. But yes, by law, you have to. But if I beat you by $1 and then I have cost overruns over here, did I really beat you?
Yeah. Lowest and most responsible, right? So it can't just be anybody.
Yes. And it's got to be,
you have to be qualified and
reasonable. Yeah, all these things. So anyways, so they had a lot of public comment last night. I only listened to a few because the same ones, you know, Stay brought a lot of people to say things on there like they did last time when they brought 20 people. You had some of the gadflies. One of the gadflies came in, was threatening lawsuits on behalf of another gadfly. So I thought that was kind of interesting. That was Juan Joey. And then and a lot of other people were congratulating the police chief and so forth. So it was kind of interesting, pretty normal meeting.
Yeah.
Nothing good. It's nice to get back without that one gadfly that we'll talk about, not cussing, not using foul language.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, it seemed like almost normal.
Yeah. And I feel like this meeting was probably one of the last more productive meetings, right?
Yeah.
Because now we're going to December. The new council comes in. I think there's a recess.
Right. Well, they're in December when they vote in the new mayor, and so if they vote in the new council, get sworn. One of the first things the new council does is elect a new mayor because it's got to be from the new council. Sure. So what happens then is, and then you always take care of business. And the business aspect is paying the bills. So there's always a register of bills to pay. So you only really have one working meeting. That's it in December. And then your recess. So which is kind of fun. But in a way, I remember when I'm a new council person. So you get sworn in. You're all excited. And that was the first time I'd ever been on the dais and et cetera, et cetera. And now you got to wait 30 days for your first real meeting. My first real meeting 30 days later was Johnny's broiler being demolished. So it was kind of like,
I remember
I didn't have any experience of being up there per se. But anyway, so yes, we're getting to that season. This episode will drop on this Friday. So we will have the Downey Christmas parades coming up this Sunday.
You'll be in it?
I'll be in it I'm always in with the Army. They bring a big Humvee for me, and I get a couple of our folks. This year, this is really cool, okay? Because remember, Warren High has a new JROTC, right? And they did the color guard for the SoFi game for the Warren Downey. And these kids were so excited, right? The uniforms just got the top. They didn't even have shoes. So now they are, because we don't have the rest of the JROTC, all the uniforms aren't in. But the Warren High School JROTC is going to do the color guard for the parade.
Nice.
So they're going to march in there. There's going to be that big parade that former Mayor Rodriguez, big flag, and the Boy Scouts are going to carry it. I'm coming in and I'm riding on the Humvee, which is always kind of fun, representing the Army as my civilian aide to secretary role. So it's good.
If you have time, check, and also our listeners, check out the corner of Downey and Third. There's going to be vendor shopping and food trucks in various locations, like in that general area. So something a little bit different.
Throw me a hot dog on the thing as we're going by now.
I will. I'll throw you something.
Yeah.
But it'll be nice because, oftentimes before the parade, you're just kind of waiting around because you get there early to kind of get your seat.
Yeah.
So you're hanging out. So there'll be food options now, and
it's always great. I think I forget what they say. It's 10 or 15,000 folks or whatever, but it's always a good time. It's good to see old folks and everything else in the city of Downey, and that's something that we look forward to every year. So my grandson's my daughter's going to be in it with financial partners at the beginning. They're the main sponsor, Haley, and my granddaughter, Savannah. And then Benny, my grandson, I got bumped. He normally rides with me on the Humvee and stuff, but he's riding with West Downey Little League.
Okay.
He's riding on the back of the truck on there. So, anyways, it's a family affair.
That's kind of a bummer, though.
Yeah, seriously. And I got to tell you one last thing, because we got 5 other traditions that we have coming up that are big in the Guerra family. One of the things we do, so Ann's big on the trees, okay, the Christmas tree. Ann already put up the tree, but it's bare. So what happens after the Christmas parade, we all come back to our house, and with the grandkids, we put the special ornaments up on the tree and stuff like that. So,
very nice.
so for
Is
us,
it a real tree?
No, it's not. She bought the world's most expensive tree 7-10 years ago from China or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, it's got lights, but it's big, and it takes Ryan, our strong 20-something, to bring it out of the garage on there. But so he put it up for her last week. And now we get to decorate it. But I like the real one.
I like the smell of the
we
real
used to go to the
trees.
Y. We're going to miss the Y one. That was Todd Corn and his group that always had it next to over there.
It's tough. We don't really have. Last year, I bought it from Costco. It's a good price.
Yeah.
It's not the same, though. It's not the same as going to a lot and picking one out.
Yeah.
And it was,
I know. We went back and forth over the years, but we've had this one. It's still in great shape. It looks beautiful. And it's got lights already in it, and then we get to decorate it on Sunday.
Good for you guys.
Anyways.
Good.
All right. Well, listen, I think we covered a lot of different things. Our next episode, we're going to talk about the restraining order on the gadfly in the city of Downey. That, last night was the first meeting. Yay. That sort of worked so far. And then we're going to talk about the funding for Stay Gallery. That's good. We're going to combine that into the next episode. So anyways, on there, good show. Thank you for listening and for watching. Thank you to our sponsor, Financial Partners Credit Union, for all you do, sponsoring our parade like we talked about. We couldn't have this podcast without it. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching Talking Downey with Mario
and Eric.